Hey there, 4xe fans. Boy, I got to tell you, I have questions. I have more questions than I have answers. I just have questions, questions, questions. We are seeing post after post after post in the 4xe fans Facebook group about the 95B recall process. And the questions we are seeing is people are saying that they're going to their dealership, they're getting the 95B recall done. Boy, my blue lights are just coming on and off. Can you see that? I don't understand why it does that. But we are just seeing question after question about why the work is being done without the drive test at the end. We're being told to take them to the dealership without them being charged, but we know in the documentation it says that it needs to be charged to 75% to then go and do a road test in electric mode. Now, in the documentation, it says they can use eSave to get there, but then they have to put it in electric mode to run the test. During that whole process, the YTech equipment has to be set up and operational in the vehicle. And the documentation, it tells you how to have that all set up with a wireless hotspot and all this stuff so that the YTech system can confirm that the drive test is being done correctly. Somehow, though, people are getting their Jeeps back with a passing grade and the drive test has not been performed. And they're confirming this by, when they dropped it off, it was at 13% on the battery. And when they picked it up, it was at 12%. Or when they dropped it off, it was at 0% and it was at 0% when they picked it up. Or the mileage, their check-in and check-out mileage is like a mile different. And the drive test, it's going to put a few miles on the vehicle. I don't know if it's 12, 15, 20 miles, and it depends on where the dealership is and where they can get to do the test and everything. So, and the reason why my blue light's coming on is because I'm sitting in the vehicle with the key in my pocket. I wasn't thinking about that. And I'm on a level 1 charger. It doesn't do this on a level 2. It only does it on level 1. I don't understand it. So anyway, the people are getting their Jeeps back without the drive test done, and they've been given a passing grade on 95B and said that the recall is complete. My question is, one, how does the dealership get paid if they're not doing part of the recall process? And is there a way to fake the funk on that? Is there a way to say, we don't need to do that and move on in a YTech? That's a question I don't have. The bigger question I have, and I had the same question with B9A, if the dealership is incapable of reading the directions to the point that they understand that there is a drive test at the end of it, or in the case of the B9A, there were 2 sleep cycles, if they are incapable of reading the directions to the point of being able to tell that those things are required, yet they are not doing it, yet they are able to complete the recall process, how do we then know that the software is getting upgraded? The software is a safety software, and it's very important because it is changing how this vehicle is able to monitor this battery and see if there's an issue going on with the battery. So it's very important that we get it, that we all get it, that every one of us that go in for this recall, that we get all of that software. How do we know that that is getting done if they are able to create some situation where they're able to skip part of the process yet still complete it? These are questions I have. If you are a Jeep technician, I don't know if I want to ask you to comment down below, but you could email me your understanding of this. I've already reached out to a friend of mine that is in a Jeep dealership, and he always does things by the book. And I've reached out to him to find out, how is this working? How is this happening that they're able to skip this whole process and call it good? And of course, part of this that's going on, some people, as they're leaving the dealership to go home, my garage lights just went off. Where they're leaving the dealership to go home and they find out a few miles later, they get a check engine light because the software, now in their case, the software obviously has been updated. The software triggers an issue and says, hey, you've got a problem with your battery. And they just turn around and take it back to the dealership. Now, once that check engine light comes on, this is a park situation. This is a park it until the battery is replaced situation. So there's no going on about your business and just driving home and everything. You need to take it back, and you need to get that issue resolved, and you need to get a loaner or a rental in that time. But I don't know. I have a lot of questions about this whole situation, and it's like the same thing that we experienced with B9A. And in fact, if you watch some of my videos, I've got what I call the badge of horrors instead of the badge of honors on my tailgate. And I've got a badge that I had made for each of the recalls that my Jeep has been through. And I called 95B B9A Part 2 or version 2. And the people at Loop Creations or Loop Customs, I forget what they're called anyway, they really created a cool badge that says V2 on it, because 95B, it even says in the letter that we got, it referenced B9A. And so I don't know. I just have so many questions over this whole process, and I really wish we could get some answers, and I really wish we could get some transparency from Jeep, because it's just not instilling a lot of confidence in me that this whole process is getting done correctly. And it makes me question the process, not just from a dealership process point of view, but also from what Jeep is sending to the dealerships. Like, what are they training them to do, and what are they sending in YTech that is making it so they can fake the funk on part of this recall? I think there's all sorts of questions there that I just don't have the answer to. But wanted to share this. If you go to a dealership, I've encouraged people. I put a link in a previous video to a Google Drive where I have the full document for the 95B process listed. I'll try to remember to put that down in the information below. I would encourage you to get educated on the process, because we as owners, in a lot of cases, are educating the dealers when we go in. There's been several people that have said, my dealer didn't even know the recall was possible until I showed him the documentation. My dealer didn't know that there was a drive test involved. My dealer didn't know that it was just a software update. All sorts of things that we are able to inform the dealer on, which has been constant throughout this entire 4xe process since this thing came out, is we tend to know a little bit more than the dealers do. And I understand they're trying to carry 4 lines. They're trying to keep knowledge in their head of all 4, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. I totally get it. It's understandable. But as far as this process goes, you have to question, how is it getting disseminated to the dealerships, and why is the process a variable between dealerships? It's just all sorts of questions, and just a little frustrated, and I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.